I used to wear this mask every day. Not this actual mask, but the message on it saying that I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm good, everything's all right. I wore this mask at home, at church, at school, when I was talking with God. And I thought that it made me feel strong. I thought that it made me likable and easygoing and people want to be around me. But even though I wore this mask that I'm okay, inside I was breaking. There was anxiety, there was depression, there was fear, there was shame, there was low self-esteem. And yet everything was okay. And I think that's the world that we sometimes get caught up in, is how many times do we run into a friend or someone that we know at church, at school, in passing, and your quick catch up is, hey, how you doing? I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing? Yeah, I'm good. Everything's going all right. Oh, that's great. Great to see you. Great to hear from you. Hopefully we'll catch up soon. That conversation is not authentic. It's not genuine. And of course, you're not going to dump your whole life story on that person in that moment. But why is it that we say I'm good or I'm okay when everything's not okay? And so I wanted to kind of dive into that in this episode and talk about the mask that I wore every single day. I wore this mask for pretty much my whole life, and now I'm learning how to take off this mask or to walk authentically and add another piece to it. And to be okay to not be okay sometimes. I mentioned in a previous episode when I talked about the father wound that I saw my father living a double life. And so seeing someone act one way but say something else was so common to me. And emotions wasn't something that we really talked about in the home at all. It was not okay to be weak. We never had open and honest conversations about how we were feeling or what we were going through, whether it was my parents' marriage and their struggles and eventual separation, divorce, whether it was just hardships, whether it was financial trouble, whether it was injuries, whatever it is. It was almost like either we don't talk about that or suck it up or don't let it get to you. And so when I'm a little boy and I'm feeling all these different emotions and I'm thinking like, I'm not doing too well here, I learned to just smile and nod, to say everything's going to be okay. I remember faking so many smiles when we were taking family pictures. Isn't that funny how like in that moment they're taking a picture and they're saying like smile, and inside you would rather do nothing else. You want to scream, you want to run away. And for that moment you put on that mask saying, I'm good, everything's okay, I'll smile. And when people see that picture, oh, what a wonderful family, isn't that an amazing picture? But behind the camera and behind the smile is pain, it's fear, it's anxiety, it's depression, it's brokenness, it's loneliness. And the mask that I was putting on was trying to mask all of that. Looking back on it, I can see that there's probably a lot of reasons why I wore the mask of I'm okay and everything's okay. I think one was just the fear of not being heard and not being seen when you actually share how you're doing. I also shared in the episode about the father wound the example of my father coming home and stomping up the stairs and grumpily asking me how I was. And as a little boy, I'm so excited to tell my dad about my day. I'm sitting on the edge of the bed and I can't wait to tell him about everything that happened that day. And before I even have a chance to really get into it, I say one word and he's already slammed the door to his bedroom. And that happened quite a few times. And so there was days where I was excited, but there was days where I wasn't feeling that greatest. And I wanted to tell my dad about it. And I think I learned in that moment and in those moments, my voice doesn't matter. If someone asks me how I'm doing, they don't care. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to listen. And if they do listen to it, they're not going to do anything about it. And so I felt very, a lot of low self-esteem. I didn't feel valued. I didn't feel loved. And I think I learned to be quiet in moments of pain and weakness, but also in moments of excitement. I think another reason is not wanting to be rejected and just wanting to be liked by people. If you're the person that always says you're not doing well, if you're the person that always has something going on, not many people are going to want to spend time with you. It's just how it is. A lot of people want that surface level answer, or they want everything to be going well. And if you're constantly talking about some struggles, it can be too much for some people, which is totally understandable. But sometimes there's not that balance of having an authentic conversation and sharing your successes and your failures, or your happy moments and your sad moments. There's usually only room for some of them, not all of them. And so I feel like when you look at what other people think of you, and it's the people pleasing, it's the fear of rejection, it's just caring what people think, right? And wanting them to like you. It's like, you know what? Do I really tell them how I'm doing? Or do I just say, hey, you know what? I'm doing all right. Because all right kind of explains it. I'm not saying I'm good. I'm all right. I'm okay, right? The mask that I was wearing, I'm okay. Okay doesn't mean great. It's okay. Another person can either say, oh, that's good. Or they can maybe ask me questions. Maybe I'm trying to get them to ask me about it. Oh, are you sure you're okay? And I'm almost wanting them to reach out and tell me that they see my pain, that they see my struggle. But I never had that. And I know a lot of people that I've talked to in various parts of my life haven't had that either. Of you're just wanting someone to notice you, wanting someone to ask, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? Going back to those childhood moments, I remember so many times where I was just this scared boy in my room going through my parents fighting, my brothers were fighting at the time. I didn't have any friends in the neighborhood. And I had aunts and uncles and grandparents at the time, and obviously my father and then my mother and my two brothers. And I don't really remember anyone asking me like, hey man, like, how's it going? Like, are you okay with what's going on here? Like, how are you doing? I remember my mom even telling some teachers at school that the struggle that they were going through, and they didn't really show me much understanding and grace, the struggles that I was going through in the classroom and at school. My mind just wasn't there. And I was made to seem like I was just a really poor student, as opposed to a kid that was really hurting at home. And I think that again forced me, or maybe not forced, but led to me wearing that mask that said that I'm okay. I can think of a couple more reasons actually why I would also wear it. One would be the fear of being truly seen. Kind of ties into the other parts, I guess, where people don't want to take all of you in a sense. I guess the thought of if they knew I wasn't doing okay, would they still like me? I guess it ties into that part as well. But I think there's a fear of being fully seen and fully known in that moment, especially if you haven't experienced it before. And like I said, if you've experienced rejection in that area, it's hard to know how to do it, how to share, you know what I mean? How do you tell someone how you're doing when you haven't really had the chance to? It's almost like I was this iceberg where people saw 10% of me. They saw what was on that surface, but 90% of what's below the surface is filled with that pain, that fear, that anxiety, that depression, that loneliness, that rejection, that abuse, that neglect, all those memories, all those struggles, all those insecurities, all the low self-worth, low self-esteem, self-hatred, not even just knowing who I am or who I can be, not learning how to deal with emotions, not learning how to process vulnerability and authenticity and transparency and what that looks like in a healthy way. I was like that iceberg, and I was not going to show any more of what was below the surface. A final reason why I wore it, and if I'm being honest, still wear it to this day for this reason, and it's not to be a burden to others. Sometimes people really do mean well. There's people in my life that I know care about me. which is a blessing to say now. And when they ask me if I'm okay, they do truly want to know how I'm doing. And a lot of the times I will say I'm okay when I'm not, because I don't want to be a burden to them. In my mind, I'm saying, oh man, like they got so much else going on. They're dealing with this problem of their own. They're dealing with this health problem. They're dealing with their family. They have a family of their own. They have their own problems. They don't need to be burdened with what I'm going through. And I think in a way, that even burdens them by knowing that there's something going on, but I'm not sharing it. And so that's heavy on them. But in my mind, I'm letting them off the hook. I need to learn to share more in those moments. I need to learn to be able to understand the difference between burdening someone and someone just wanting to hear me and be there for me. Again, I don't need to throw all my burdens on them, but sometimes you need someone to carry them with you, not just for you, but carry them alongside you as you walk this journey of life. And it's interesting, I talk about carrying burdens, and I'm reminded of Jesus saying, "Come to me, all who are weary and brokenhearted, and I will give you rest." He says that his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And it's like that picture of two oxen, and he has that yoke around him, and he's yoked to us, and he's carrying our weight, he's carrying our burdens. And I know that God knows everything about me, but there's some times where I almost try to hide how I'm feeling with God, especially in the past. And I try to pretend that everything's okay, and I'm learning more and more what it looks like just to come to God as my honest self. Just me. My good times, my bad times, my fearful times, my anxious times, my joyful times, my successful times, my failing times, all of me. Because he wants that, and he knows all of me, but he wants me to bring all of me to him. He wants me to bring the honest me, the real me, to him. I remember when I went back to school in 2016, I live in Ontario and I flew to British Columbia for school. And I remember starting a new life out there. Whole new people. I didn't know anyone out there. I didn't know anything about the area, but I was moving to that new place, new time zone, new, I guess, like city culture in a way. And it's like, that's me. I'm starting my new identity. I'm starting as that's the new me, and I'm walking in that. I was so guarded for a while. A lot to do with I just didn't feel like I fit in right away at the school and in the community, and I didn't like to share how I was doing because I didn't think that people really cared to listen. And it was like I was reliving my past again, where I would cross paths with people in the hall and they'd be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, not doing too good. They wouldn't really care. Or even just walking past and saying hi to someone and they wouldn't even acknowledge me. And I'm thinking, man, like this is at a Christian school. This is at a Bible college. And I got people that aren't even like seeing me, aren't even making me feel seen or loved or valued. And so I wore that mask again. I wore the mask that, hey, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you doing? Yeah, everything's okay on my end. How about you? Inside, I was hurting so much again. A lot of memories from my past were coming up and I didn't know how to handle them. And then I was also faced with a lot of current moments that were really heavy for me in different ways. I went through a couple friendship and relationship times there where it was very heavy on me emotionally, and I was not okay. I was weak, I was vulnerable, and all of a sudden I went from everything's okay to now I'm moping around, putting my hoodie on and putting my hood over my head, and It was almost like I was just trying to hide and isolate, and it was fully reversed, where I went from smiling on the outside of, hey, I'm okay, to here is this visible thing of I am a mess. My second year at Bible college, I was working 2 jobs in student leadership, and I also had a full course load along with volunteering on some of the committees, because I had that people pleasing mindset, and because I just honestly loved to serve and I wanted to capitalize on so many different opportunities. And so I would say yes to so many things. And I was just burning myself out like crazy. Throw in the relationship issues that were happening at that time, which put me on this huge emotional roller coaster that I just didn't know how to handle. Being away from home, being away from my 2 nieces that were growing up at a young age, being away from my mom and my brothers and their wives, and just the life that I knew where I was. It was my first time away from home. I had this moment where everything just started to crack. I remember just all of a sudden a few days hit me where I wasn't able to sleep. I had a lot of negative thoughts inside my head, and my mental health was so poor. And I had always struggled with mental health stuff, anxiety, depression, fear, but this was different. And this one scared me a lot. I was at a place where I had never experienced the thoughts that I was experiencing in my head. And it got to a point where I had to call home and ask my mom if she could help me fly home. I remember calling her and just having a conversation of, hey, I just need to come home. I don't think I shared too much about what I was going through, but she could tell that something was wrong, and she did everything in her power to make sure that she made that happen. So in a couple days, from that moment, I booked my flight, and a couple days later, I flew home. And I remember telling people at school why I was going home, and I just said, oh, I'm just going to go home for a few days to see everyone. I remember getting home and arriving here, and it was like, okay, I can just start to breathe a little bit, but I'm still not doing well. There's something going on here in my head. There's something that I'm just really struggling with mentally. This was in March when I came home. School was going to be over in April, and then right after school, I was leaving on a 10-week mission trip to Costa Rica in the jungle. And I hadn't been home since December. And so if I didn't come home in this moment, I was going to be at school and work for the next month, and then right away fly out to Costa Rica from school and then not see my family until July. And I said, I need to come home. I need to be around just this environment for a moment. And I remember being home and surprising my family. Some of them didn't know I was coming home. I wanted to surprise them. And how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing okay. I just wanted to come home and see everyone. And the March Madness tournament was on, and nieces were on March break. It's like, oh yeah, I just wanted to see everyone before I went to Costa Rica. I just thought it'd be good to stop by for a few days. There it is, that again, that mask, right? I'm okay. I wasn't okay. I was at one of the lowest moments of my life, and yet here I am wearing that mask because I didn't want to burden them. I wanted them to still like me as my family. But I was afraid of being seen. For so long, I tried to hold it all together. For so long, I tried to just be so strong on the outside, and the one that was composed, the one that could just be okay in those moments. And in this moment, I wasn't okay, and I wasn't really able to share that. I think part of me was trying to put myself on this platform of, I'm this guy at Bible college, I'm this strong Christian with all this strong faith. I shouldn't be going through struggles. If I'm trying to witness to people in my life that don't know Jesus and they see me struggling, why would they want to come to Jesus? Why would they want to know him? I should have this life that's perfect. I should have this life that's all figured out. And here I am going and having more struggles. I was telling myself in those moments that I can't let them see me weak, because then they won't want to follow Jesus. I remember the unmasking started to happen when I started to open up a little bit with my mom, just sharing a few struggles that I was having mentally. But I was still very guarded and still very selective with what I was sharing. And I remember after those 3-4 days that I came home and then I flew back to school, just sitting there in the airplane and honestly not wanting to go back, because I knew what I was going back to. And that's why I left in the first place. And I was afraid. I remember looking at my window and seeing the Rocky Mountains and just trying to focus on that for a moment. Just like the beauty of what God created. I love nature and I love being in nature, and I experience God so much when I'm in those moments, whether it's water, mountains, trees, whatever that is. And so seeing that as I look at my window is just a moment where I can just take a pause and say, like, I'm not okay, but I'm going to be okay. Because he's with me. He didn't bring me out there and into BC to just leave me by myself. He's going to be with me. He's with me in that moment. He was with me as I flew back home. He's with me as I go back to school, and he'll be with me when I go to Costa Rica in a month. That allowed me to start being more honest with God, to start unmasking in his presence, even though he saw behind the mask, even though he knows exactly who I am at all times. It was my way of saying, hey God, this is me. I'm really hurting right now and I'm really broken and I need you. I need you to help me because I can't do this. I don't want to go back. Why am I here? Why am I going back to school? Why am I going on this mission trip? Can't I just run away and hide and avoid all this? I went here to learn and grow, and I've come with now more pain. Why am I going through this? And I think just being able to voice that to him allowed me to understand fully just how much he knew about me and how much he loved me. I remember getting back to school and a couple people asking me how my trip was and back home and all that. And I was excited to tell them about seeing my nieces, showing them a couple pictures. And then I remember one of the classes that I was in, I can't even remember what the project was, but we were doing some kind of presentation for like 5 minutes in Teams. And it was sharing something authentically. And I remember in that moment sharing with some of the classmates there and the teacher. I said, like, obviously you guys know that I went home last week. And the reason why I went home is because I was not well mentally. And I've been in a pretty rough space and I've been really struggling. I was able to just continue to unmask myself in that moment. Being careful, being selective, not going too long or too detailed, just a few minutes of saying, I'm not okay. The person that you see is this person that's in leadership and serving on these different platforms, but the person inside is hurting and he needs help. He's been helping so many people. Now it's his turn to get some help. As I went through the rest of that year and then stepped into my time in Costa Rica, I started to unmask a little here and there, but more things happen, more pain and emotional difficulties happen with some relationships, and obviously being in a different country. And I shared in another podcast that I was really sick in Costa Rica. And I just wanted to come home again. Going into my third year of school after all that was done and going back into the fall, that final year I was the resident leader for the senior men's housing, and I tried to make it a priority to be more authentic. We would have weekly unit meetings that I would lead, and we would share and talk about stuff, and I wanted to use that time for the guys to like be vulnerable in a healthy and safe space. And I wanted to model that myself. I learned more what it looked like to just walk in that authenticity, trying to share my struggles, my weaknesses, my just what I was going through. Not just wearing that mask that I'm okay, but like, you know what, I'm struggling today. I'm having a hard one today. I've been really tempted, or I've been really feeling down. I've been feeling anxious. I've been feeling fearful. And then just doing life together. Just knowing that it's okay to not be okay all the time, and that's part of life. But you can't get better if you don't step into that truth and that authentic relationship with people. And so I was lucky to find a couple people that I was able to just do life with and share that with them, and they were able to share that with me. And when I returned home after school, I jumped into a church group right away where I was leading a men's group, but then also joined a recovery group, and trying to just to walk more in authenticity in those moments, just sharing what was on my heart, and understanding the importance of acknowledging where I'm at, but then also declaring God's truth over my life. Because for so long, I would wear that mask and pretend everything's okay, right? And then I would eventually take the mask off, but I would still be hearing all these lies from the enemy, and I still do to this day. But I'm learning more and more what it looks like to affirm God's truth and say, like, no, this is who God says I am. And God sees all of me, and he loves me. He's close to the brokenhearted. He restores my soul. He heals me. All these things that I need to hear. All those things that I needed to hear as a child. That he sees me. He loves me. He values me. I'm the apple of his eye. I'm his masterpiece. That he's pleased with me. That he knows all of me. He knows the number of hairs on my head, and he knows everything about me, and yet he still loves me. Like, really, God, you see all of me? You see every single part of me, and you still love me? And that's because he is love. But I want to receive that. And I'm trying to learn what it looks like to receive that each and every day. Over the years, I've also gone to different therapists and a couple different support groups just to have people to share with, to do life with, to be authentic with. And right now I'm blessed to have a few relationships in my life where I have a couple guys that I just share openly and honest with. It's not like we're always just pouring struggles out, but you're sharing life, you're doing life. And I think that's what it's all about, is walking in a way that says, this is me. I'm not wearing the mask of I'm okay. I'm also wearing the mask, or I guess not wearing the mask, but I'm okay. I'm not okay. I'm doing great. I'm not doing great. I've had a good day. I've had a bad day, and that's me, and that's okay. This mask of I'm not okay or I'm okay. I don't need to wear this anymore. I just want to be me. I don't want to fake it. I don't want to not share how I'm doing because I want people to like me. I don't want to not share how I'm doing because fear of rejection, and that doesn't mean that I'm going to pour all of me on everyone all the time. I'll be selective with it, obviously, and there's times to share and there's times not to share, and you have to choose those moments. But I don't want to say I'm okay when I'm not okay. I don't want to pretend that everything's good on the inside when it's not. I don't want to put this brave face or this smile on when I'm really struggling and I'm really hurting. And just to be authentic with you, I'm not fully okay right now. I'm doing better, but I'm still struggling mentally. I struggle with anxiety and panic disorder. I am on medication for that the last few years. I struggle with depression, which I've had since I was a child, but I got diagnosed with a few years ago. And I just struggle with a lot of painful thoughts and negative thoughts in my life. I struggle to accept myself for who I am. I struggle to forgive myself for what I've done. I struggle to receive God's truth about me still to this day, even though I try to affirm that more and more. I struggle to separate the love of God and the hatred of my earthly father, not seeing them as the same person. And I've talked about that in a previous episode as well of the father wound. But I'm also doing okay in the regards that I'm trying my best. I'm proud of myself. I'm learning what it looks like to love myself each day, to be patient with myself, to not aim for perfection, but just to work for progress. To be okay not being okay, but to not be complacent, to take where I am and then try to take little steps to get myself better each and every day, even if it's just 1%, to move forward. And so if you were to ask me how I'm doing right now, I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. It's been a hard few weeks taking care of my mom who wasn't feeling well. So I was scared and burdened with that. But I'm also blessed. I've seen God's hand in so many areas of my life. I've seen him come through, answer so many prayers. He's been there and I've seen him work in so many beautiful ways. He's helped me in my fear and my anxiety and my stress and my exhaustion. And I know he's faithful and I know he'll continue to be faithful. And I'm so grateful to be able to share a video like this. I know I'm talking about my story, but I'm hoping that there's someone out there that can relate, someone that maybe has worn a mask themselves, someone that maybe still be wearing a mask to this day, and maybe one word I said made you feel seen or heard. And that's what my hope is that as I share this part of the channel with the podcast Faith in the Fragile, I want it to be a place where whoever hears this feels seen and heard and loved and maybe understood. Maybe things are put into words that maybe you haven't been able to put into words before yourself. Maybe you see yourself in some of the moments or memories or stories that I've shared. And I pray that it helps to heal you and help you move forward in areas of your life that you're struggling, areas that you need help, areas that you're not okay. I don't know if you're wearing a mask or not. And if you are, I don't know what mask that is. It could be the same mask that I wore of I'm okay. Could be I'm successful. Could be I'm happy. Could be an opposite mask of I'm angry. I don't want to talk to you. I want to be alone. Leave me alone. But inside you want people to be there. But whatever mask it is, I get it. I get why you're wearing it. Just know that the more and more you learn to unmask it and step into the real you, it starts to heal part of you. the hard part is finding a place to do it, right? If you don't have anyone in your life that feels safe, if you don't have anyone in your life that provides that opportunity for you to share how you're doing, or maybe you've related to what I said too, where you don't want to burden them, you don't want to feel rejected or not loved anymore, you're afraid to be seen, of all of you to be seen. It's hard. You're like, you know what? I've lived this way my whole life. I might as well just keep on doing it. I don't want to lose that friendship. I don't want to lose that relationship. I don't want to burden them. They got too much going on. Or, you know what? I don't have anyone in my life that really, really cares. Like I was as a child in teenage years where I was hurting and there was no one there that just said like, hey, are you okay? It's hard. It's hard to want to take off that mask because it becomes a part of you. What goes from this mask that you would put on and off turns into like this piece that can't come off. It's almost like it's just fastened shut, and that's who you are. That's the new you. My prayer for you is that you're able to find a time in your life where you're able to slowly unmask, to be able to show the real you, to be able to have someone hear you and make you feel heard and seen and loved. Whatever mask you're wearing, as you take that off, may you feel the burden lifted. And may you be reminded that we can cast our burdens on the Lord because his yoke is easy and his burden is light, and he truly does care about us. I need to do that more myself still. It's something that I'm struggling with, of not saying that, oh God, I don't want to burden you more. Like he's there for me. I have to understand that he wants to take every burden from me. He carried so much already when he died on the cross. And as I walk my life today and each day, he wants to just like walk that journey with me and say, hey brother, like I'm walking with you here. Throw it on me. I'll carry it for you. Let's walk together. And here I am pulling burdens and wearing all this heavy baggage. It's okay. I'll catch up with you in a second, Jesus. I'll be right there. And he's like, no, I'm walking with you side by side. Just pass it to me. My burden's light. I got some. I'll carry it for you. Okay, Jesus. Thank you. Thank you for seeing that I'm not okay and that I needed help. Thank you for carrying my burdens for me when I can't carry them anymore. Thank you that you're always there for me and that you truly love me. As I finish up with this episode, I just want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to share this part of my story. And I know that this was one topic that I wanted to talk about because this is where we see faith in the fragile. We'll see you next time.